All right, guys, welcome. This is Breakfast with the Brand. Of course, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders like yourself looking to go to the next level. I have with me, as usual, the amazing Mr. Bobby Jackson. And Bobby, I think today we're going to continue the sales conversation. Listen, like after our show yesterday, a lot of people they told me that the conversation really opened their eyes as far as sales is concerned. So I feel like, man, we should just continue, go a little bit deeper down that rabbit hole. We could touch on branding and marketing as well. But guys, let me just tell you, this is 100% live. So if you do have questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments. We will answer all of your questions. This show is for you. This is your show in the morning. So if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. But that being said, Bobby Jackson, how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing phenomenal, Junior. Thank you for asking. One of the things that come to my mind right now is state equals mate. So if you've ever played chess, checkmate is when you're like, boom, it's over. So anybody that's ever sat in a position for extended periods of time, like say 10 hours sitting, knows that your back can feel extremely bad, like after that, or your legs can feel really bad because you've been in one situation. They call it ergonomics. So I was sitting on sales calls yesterday, and I'm like, oh, mercy. When I woke up, and I was like, wow. I sat down here, and I'm like, my back doesn't hurt as much. Why? Every time I leave my office, I feel all this pain. But every time I get in front of the camera on in the chair, all the pain goes away. And it's like, state equals mate. Because when I'm in this chair, in this space, I'm often in a certain state of mind. So I'm
Yeah.
interested to go through this conversation as we talk about state in sales, because I believe there's a certain way you want to think and there's a certain way you want to feel in order to convey what that listener needs to hear. So thanks for asking, Junior. How are you?
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like my mental model says, as long as I'm better today than I was yesterday, I have no regrets.
Mm,
That's
wow.
it. As long as I'm better today, just even if it's like half a degree, as long as I'm better today than I was yesterday, then I have no regrets. Absolutely none. So somebody asked me the question the other day. They said, Junior, if you could go back in time and if you could change anything, like what would you change? And I said, I'll change absolutely nothing. And they said, why? I said, well, if I'm better today than I was yesterday, then there's nothing to change. Because let me tell you, life is so interesting. There's a concept, Bobby, like if you let's say so people want to go back in time and they want to change something. But there's a paradox there. Like what one thing they don't realize is if you go back in time and you change something, then you don't arrive at the future where you decided to make that change. Like if guys listen to what I'm saying, if you go back in time, like whatever it is, you want to change something and you say, okay, let me go back in time. Maybe you want to go back to a sales call and you wanted to ask the prospect something a little bit different. Maybe you had disappointment after that call. The fact that you had disappointment brought you to the moment where you decided that you needed to change. So if you went back in time and you changed that, you would have never made it to the actual moment where you decided to change. It's not possible. So I have no regrets, Bobby. As long as I'm above ground, I feel absolutely phenomenal. And that's my state.
Wow. As we dive into the sales aspect of things, one of the things that I would like us to talk about a little bit, if you could talk about it, is the steps of the sale, because I asked you to send those to me yesterday so I could have them ironed out, because a lot of us think that closing is the first thing that we need to do, or at least the most important thing we need to do. And I think if we were able to talk about each of those points and bring a little more clarity to the greeting, a little more clarity to the negotiation stage, a lot more people will have a better understanding of what a sales process looks like. Could we talk about that?
Yeah, we can. We can. We're gonna get into that a little bit after the break. But guys, let me just announce. So there should be a banner floating somewhere to the bottom of that screen. I put that banner up there, and that banner really and truly is for one person. Okay. So the person that this banner is for is the person who's ready to self transform. All right. So there's three important moments in your life. That's what's said. They said that there's three important moments in your life. There's the moment you're born, okay, the moment you become alive, the moment you leave the world, right? The moment you're no longer here. And then there's also the moment where you decide to change. Like these three important moments in your life. So if you're at that point where you made a decision like, hey, I need some kind of change, I'm looking to go to the next level, I'm looking to, improve my skill. Listen, the person that you are today is not the person that you need to be to get the result that you want. Otherwise, you would have already had the result, right? So this is only for one person, literally. So I'm only talking to one person. You know who you are. If that's you, visit that link at the bottom. Subscribe to Closing Like a Leader, and we will definitely see you on the inside. To everybody else, enjoy the show. We'll be back after this very, very short break.
There's slow growth and then there's scale. There's incremental growth and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 plus 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 plus 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 plus 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 plus 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a 0 to you, you can add a 0 to the marketplace. You can add a 0 to the value that you bring. So you can add a 0 to your family, add a 0 to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a 0. Add a 0 to your competence, add a 0 to your confidence. This is about adding a 0 in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. In brand clarity, exactly what you're going to get is what it sounds like. Clarity for your brand. What is your color? What is your logo? What is your unique value proposition? Who are you speaking to? Why? How should you speak to them? How should I position myself? That's what you're going to learn in brand clarity. You need other people to have the same clarity on your brand that you do. But this is the gap. If you don't have clarity on your brand, then no one else is going to have clarity on your brand either. It's like messaging. Your message sounds clear to you, but is your end user receiving the value that you're trying to provide? I guarantee you that after you go through brand clarity, they will, and so will you. And that's how you'll scale your brand.
All right, guys. So we are back talking about the sales process. Before I begin, let me just send a quick shout out to Sean. Sean, he was not able to be here today, but he definitely sends his regards. So Bobby, let's get into it, man. Where do you want to start? Where exactly do you want to start? Before we begin, though, let me just send a quick shout out to, I see Travis, the leader. I see, is that Joel? That should be Joel Smith, Tia Rogers. I see Rhonda. I see Bradley. Guys, if you're viewing this live, go ahead and just put your name in the chat, put the flames in the chat, and let us know where you're listening in from. We will give you a shout out. Also, if you have any questions as we go through this process, then feel free to ask those questions. Let's go, Bobby.
Yeah. So I would like us to open up with, how do you engage a stranger? Because many of us don't know where to go to find our leads. We don't know how to attract them. We don't really have the brand developed. So if we know greeting is one of the first things we need to do, we know that brand attracts our people to us. How do we even start thinking about getting in front of ideal clients?
All right, so that's a great question. So in sales, it's said that there are only three groups of people in sales. Okay, and I have to credit Patrick Bet David, because I learned this from him. So Patrick says that there are only three sets of people in sales. Okay, so there's the people that you know. Okay, there's the people that your people know, and then there's the people that you don't know. So there's the people that you know. Okay, so think of who you know. There's the people that your people know, and then there's the people that you don't know. So if you're in the phase where you're going about doing prospecting, the first place to start is with the people that you know. So you should have what's called a power list. I think they call it a power list in real estate, but what really and truly what it is just a group of people that you know, people that you went to school with, people that you work with, people that you used to work with, people that from your church, people that you meet at the supermarket, people that you meet at the grocery store, wherever. Just think of every single person that you can actually know, like your family, friends, colleagues, associates, etc. And you make a list of those people. At the end of that list, you should have at least 100 names. And then you start going down that list, right, Bobby? And then you start asking yourself, like, based on what I'm selling, like, which one of these people can my product actually serve? And then all you do is you just pick up the phone and then you call people that you know and then you tell them what you do. So let's say I see Katrina, shout out to Katrina. So I know Katrina, right? So let's say I'm selling, I don't know, let's just say a house. And let's just say Katrina is in the market for a house. So when I make my list, I say, okay, Katrina Hall Smith. Great. I pick up the phone. I actually know her. So that means you already have rapport. She knows who I am. We have trust. It's already built, etc., etc. So I call Katrina. I tell Katrina, hey, Katrina, how you doing? Da, 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 da. We go back and forth for a while. And then I say, hey, Katrina, by the way, nowadays I'm actually selling houses. And while I was going down my list of people that I know, you actually came to mind. And I was wondering, would you happen to be in the market for a house? And then maybe she is. If she is, and you already have the relationship, it should be an easy sale. So that's the first place you start. You start with people that you know. Now, once you've gone through everybody that you know, you look at people that your people know. So who does Katrina know? Okay, so after you've made that initial sale, you always want to ask the question, hey Katrina, um, number one, did I serve you to the highest possible degree? Yes or no? Yes. Was this a smooth process? Yes. Okay, great. So Katrina, the way my business works is that I'm building a referral-based business to really and truly grow my audience. And I was wondering, would you happen to know anybody else who may need the same services that I just gave to you? And if you do, I would greatly appreciate it if you could give me like 2 or 3 names for people that I can contact and call, and also let them know that you know me so that when I call them, I don't come in as a stranger. Would you be able
Wow.
to do that for me? And if she knows people that can, you know, go with your service, then if she likes you and if you did a great job, then most likely she will. Most likely she will refer you if you did a great job. And that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Like the toughest people to sell are the people that you don't know. And that's where most people start, unfortunately. They go on social media, um, they try to do cold calls. Nothing wrong with cold calls. It just takes a different level of skill to convert somebody who is completely cold from somebody that you actually know. And by the way, Bobby, when you come in as a referral or from a referral base, you're lending the credibility of the person who referred you. So if Katrina refers me to somebody else for a home, then I am borrowing Katrina's credibility and I come in with instant rapport, instant authority, and instant credibility into the next situation. So I would say start there. That's like the easiest place to start is that with
Wow.
people that you know and people that your people know.
Guys, this has already been opening up the minds of myself and others because I've been in business for a little while now, and you always meet new people. But for me, I've got the Marine Corps as well. So I've got all these people that I knew from the service that I can go and reach out to. So this has been a phenomenal opening of the call. So once we've reached out to these people and we've started building some rapport, we've got our email, or excuse me, we got our referral bases going.
Yeah.
What does the pipeline look like, the process look like? Because a lot of people are wondering, when should they be using funnels? When should they be actually on a call closing people in person? And it's confusing for a lot of people, and then they don't know when they need a website, to what degree they need a website. So if all of these things are used to close deals and bring in money, where do you recommend someone starting?
It's a good question. It's different for everybody based on number one, what you sell, number two, what your industry, like what your actual industry is. Every industry sells differently. So if you're in insurance, there's a certain way you go about selling insurance. If you're in real estate, there's a certain process that you use to sell real estate. What I would advise people is to look at your industry, look at people or companies that are already selling in your industry and ask yourself, what are they doing to get leads? What is their process? And most likely they already have a proven process. I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. If somebody who's ahead of you, or if a company that's ahead of yours is using a certain process to generate leads, just emulate the process. And that process is different for everybody. So if you're in the coaching space, it's different from somebody who's in real estate. And if it's in real estate, it's different from somebody else that's in insurance. The only thing that could be slightly different is when you look at something like content marketing. So content marketing is basically you putting out content. Everybody has to put out content. So that stays the same. But as far as the sales process goes, it's different for everybody. And you need to master your own industry. So it's not a one size fits all, Bobby. Some people convert from a phone, some people convert from Zoom, some people convert from email, some people convert from something else. So you have to really and truly find what works for you. Some people use direct mail to convert. It's all sales. So you have to find out what works for your industry and just emulate that.
Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is knowing what you're trying to do, like what your pipeline looks like. Because a lot of times we just think about sales as far as cash collected. Like, how do I get the money? Now, granted, that's a very important part, but in my experience, I've learned that when you start getting into high ticket sales, it's a matter of moving people through a series of closes. So you might be in a sales situation where you open up and you have to close them on the idea of speaking with you. Then you have to close them on the idea of meeting with you. Then you have to close them on the idea of coming back and doing a live Zoom, and then closing them on the idea of having your spouse present so you guys can make a decision. So another thing to think about also is what are the various closes within your overall close, because that's normally a very important component. So is there any insight that you wanted to give to that, Junior, how you think about moving the sale forward?
Yeah. So, like, guys, at the end of the day, sales is always about putting the client's best interest at the center of the decision. That's it. So yesterday we spoke about coming around on the other side of the table. That's what it's about. It's always about putting the client's best interest at the center of the decision. Now, when you look at a process, I know there's a process. So there's a process called the road to the sale, which I suspect that's probably what you're talking about when you talk about the different steps. So I'll go over a few of those steps right now. I actually wrote them down. So number one is the greeting. So the greeting is initial contact, basically. So you make initial contact with the prospect, and it's a greeting. So basically, greeting is, "Hey, how you doing?" Like it's not like we're talking to human beings here, right? So it's just like you talking to a regular person. There's nothing special, nothing different. But what I will say though is you have to be different. Like, how many of you, and put it in the chat, how many of you have called an establishment looking to talk to like somebody who's a service rep or somebody who works at the company, and then as soon as you call, like the energy is just not there. They're literally talking you out of the sale. They're literally talking you out of the sale. The energy is not there. They don't seem convinced of what they're doing. It's just, instantly, but like from the
Yeah.
get-go, it's like, "Nah, I don't know about this guy. I don't know about this woman," right? So the greeting is very important, right? The greeting is very important. You have to make instant rapport, and the greeting really and truly comes from the internal work. So why do we work out? Why do we eat right? Why do we have an attitude of gratitude? Why do we meditate and do all of these things? Is because when you greet somebody, they can feel it. They can feel your energy. They can feel your vibe. They can feel if you're not attached to the sale. They can feel if you're just trying to get the sale. Like all of that can be felt in the greeting, and the prospect can make an instant decision as to whether or not to do business with you. Okay. So after the greeting, you have what's called fact finding. So fact finding is where you start to, accumulate facts about the prospect. So you want to know something about this person, like, okay, so where do you live? Um, Joel, where do you live? What do you do for a living? Do you have any kids? You want to find out facts that are relevant to the sale, but also relevant to the prospect. Like, what's important to you? What motivated you to invest some time with me today? You want to find out these facts. Once you find out these facts, you move to step number 3, which is what we call a buyer profile. So you have to place them into what's called a buyer profile. So who is this buyer? Okay, so many businesses, we've heard about the concept of an ideal client. You could have an ideal client for every product you sell. Like, not everybody that comes into the business is going to buy every single thing. Some people may only need branding, some people may only need coaching, some people may need something else. So you have what's called a buyer profile. Okay, so the buyer profile helps you to, number one, establish, who this buyer is, and number two, is going to help you move to the next step, which is product selection. So let me go over these 4 steps. So step number 1 is the greeting. And one of you, can you please write it down, write it down somewhere in the comments? I know I have some phenomenal people that always write down the steps when I give it. I can't write on this platform, so if somebody could just write it down in the comments, for the for the benefit of other people that may be viewing. Step number 1 is the greeting. Step number 2 is fact finding. Step number 3 is buyer profile. Step number 4, product selection, actually selecting the product. So once you establish the profile, then you select the product. Now check this out. Let's talk about this for a while. So most people, when they come into your establishment, Bobby, when they set the call with you, the product that they have in their mind is oftentimes the wrong product. So I'll give you an example. Somebody may come to me, they may set a call, and then they may say, well, I'm going to work with Sean, but I'm going to need marketing. And then when we go through the actual discovery process, we discover that they don't need marketing, they need branding. 90% of the time, the prospect or the client is actually on the wrong product. So they don't know what they need, which is why you go through a discovery process. Once you establish a buyer profile, it allows you to select the product, and then you move into what's called a demonstration of the product, which basically, okay, so Mr. Joel, based on what you told me, I feel like this might be a good product for you. Do you want to take 5 minutes to take a look at it? This is what we've done for previous clients like yourself. Here are the websites. Here is the this, here is the that. So you show them a little bit about it. If possible, like if you're selling something, I don't know, like let's say cars, you can have them sit in the car, okay? Or you take them to the showroom. This is the part where you take them to the showroom, etc., etc. And then from there, you do what's called a trial close. The trial close is basically a test where you're testing the prospect to see where they are. Like, is this person a serious buyer? Are they looking to buy in 6 months? Are they looking to buy right now? Are they looking to buy in 3 months? So you might say something like, okay, so Joel, hypothetically, let's say the money checked out, the situation checked out, the wife agreed, the kids all love it. When are you thinking of buying this product? Is this something that you're looking to own right now? Is this something that you're looking to do in the future? Is this something that you're looking to do in 6 months? Or are you just window shopping? So that's a trial close. If he's looking to own it right now, he'll say, well, provided that everything checks out right, I would like to walk out of here today with this product. I would like to get started immediately. So then okay, this person's ready to go. Now, most people, they don't do any of this, right? And it's not to their fault because they don't know it. They don't know it. That's why we have the show. But they try to go straight to the close. You notice I have not arrived at the close as yet. All of this is before the close. And all of this is selling. You're selling all the way here. You're moving the prospect from stage to stage to stage, and you're moving the deal forward. Sometimes the deal may end on the buyer selection. The prospect got another call, they have to go. You were not able to select a product. So when you follow up, you're following up to move them to product selection, which is stage number 4. And if you got them to product selection, but you didn't get an opportunity to demonstrate your product, the next time you talk to them, then you're moving them to stage 5, which is the demonstration or the presentation. Okay. And that's how it goes, Bobby. Now I'll stop here for any questions. I know I've been going a little bit fast, so let's get a few questions, guys. If you have any questions, put it in the comments as well. I am looking at the live comments. So, Bobby, do you have any questions so far? I don't want to go through the whole thing without taking any questions.
I think that this is such a profound approach because Sean has often said sales or closing is a
Yeah.
luxury, elegant experience. And most of you all, if you're looking at this and you're taking a step back, you can see the luxury. You can see the elegance. So I just want to lean into that a little bit. So when I greet someone, let's say you're greeting someone and you want to close a high ticket product, the greeting should be phenomenal. It should be clean. It should be concise. It should be to the point. And then you move down to fact finding. The questions should be maybe straightforward, somewhat mildly aggressive, but not too aggressive. So you're pretty much saying, like, we're serious. We mean what we say and we do what we say for our customers and clients. So now they're like, okay, I'm getting the real deal here. And then you move down to this buyer profile where you're identifying where these guys belong. And as you understand where they belong and you start going to the product selection piece, you're really thinking about what are they going to look good driving. Now, granted, you might not be selling cars, but what are they going to look good? What are they going to enjoy having? And really have that energy when you're conveying this product to them. And then when you do the trial close, they should feel like they own it already to a degree. To a degree, like we already have possession of it. And then you roll into the presentation. And if the presentation also is official, elegant, it's not just a PowerPoint thrown up together, but it's something that's really nice and sleek and looks good, they just feel more and more taken care of, more and more elegant. So by the time you do get to the close and they're ready to open their hearts and wallets, you know that they've had a luxurious experience. So I'm sure Junior's going to talk about this more when we come back from the break, but please put some flames in the chat if this is eye-opening and if this is something that you are very, very happy you're getting the inside scoop on sooner than later.
The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you like how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
Confidence is key. Most of the people I work with, they have the education, the experience, and the expertise. We call those the 3 E's. But they're looking for the 3 I's, the income, the impact, and the independence. And I always tell them that the bridge between the 3 E's and the 3 I's is marrying your confidence to your competence. Most of the people I work with, again, have all of the competence in the world. What I help them do is get the confidence.
Right, guys, we are back. So I see a couple flames in the comments. See, Rhonda's definitely enjoying the show. I see Bradley as well. Joel is locked in. So shout out to everybody who's learning something today. What I want to know is, what are you going to do to improve your sales process? So go ahead and put that in the chat. Like, what are you going to do to improve your sales process? Okay, and just as a reminder, the link below, okay, this link below goes over the closing stage of the sales process. It's called Closing Like a Leader. So if you want to learn how to close the deal when you come to the closing stage of the process, then that's when you go to Closing Like a Leader. Okay. So Bobby, I know we left off. Did we leave off with a question? Let's just remind
presentation. So we're going from presentation.
No, but you had a question about luxury, right?
Yeah, we were just pretty much saying that if you do this properly, it should feel elegant and luxurious. It should not feel sleazy or, say, fast-paced. It should be a nice, elegant close.
Right. Wow, that's a great topic. Like honestly, like to me, the only way to not come off as sleazy is just not to be sleazy. Just be authentic. Like just don't be that way. Like literally. Like listen, guys, listen. Here's a crazy thought. Just be real. Like actually care. Bobby, this other theory. I don't think you can actually be good at sales if you really don't care about people. I don't think it's possible. I really don't think it's possible. Like you have to actually care, actually detach from the outcome. Actually don't be sleazy. Like actually don't pretend not to be, just don't be. Because energy doesn't lie. You know what I mean? Energy doesn't lie. You have to actually care about people, and you have to actually be that person. And if you're not that person, then you need to be that person before you can become that person, if that makes sense. So
Hmm.
when it comes to luxury, in the sales context, I would define luxury as smooth and ease in transaction, smooth and ease in the process. And I believe that that sort of smooth and easy type of touch only comes when you become the person that I'm talking about. So, like me, when I'm talking to somebody, I'm not thinking about selling a high ticket product. I'm not thinking about that. If it comes up, it comes up. So it's just natural. I'm not even thinking about it. It just happens naturally because you see, once, like I said, if you put like people's problems or people's situations at the center of your decision, then naturally you sell. You don't have to try to sell. In fact, they'll ask you, what do you do? How can you help me? They'll be the ones asking you, what can you do for them? Like if you serve them to a high degree and if you take care of them, if you provide them with value, and if they see that you're real and you're not just trying to sell something because you're really not because you're pretending not to be, right? Like, guys, it's so big. Be authentic. Be authentic. Now, if you're the kind of person and everybody, you know who you are, you know you better than anybody else. If you're literally the kind of person like I'm here for the close, there's something called commission breath, okay? Where the prospect can literally just feel you looking at them like, okay, I'm gonna close Rhonda, and you already calculating the commission in your brain, right? That's not what you do. You actually serve Rhonda, and then at the end of the conversation, if Rhonda feels like, okay, I can work with this person, then she works with you. Like when it comes to sales, Bobby, and luxury, like Bugatti doesn't force you to buy a Bugatti. Like Ferrari doesn't force you to buy a Ferrari. They give you reasons why you need to buy or why you should buy, and they let you make a decision, and that's all it is. You don't try to sell, you give people reasons why they should buy. And when you
Right.
come from it with that perspective, it's completely different. It's completely different. So luxury is ease, smooth, and guess what? You transition through the different phases that I'm talking about, and it's done effortlessly. It doesn't take an entire year to go through this stuff. This stuff could be done in an hour. You could meet somebody completely cold and go through this entire process with them in an hour and then close them. But it is gonna feel effortless, literally effortless, because you're literally coming from like an authentic place. And I really think that's the secret. The secret is to just be real. And
You
that's what
know, I just wanted to throw something in real quick, Junior. A lot of times we have to invest what we expect. I just want to throw this in there. So one of the things that Junior told me years ago was if you want to be able to command more from the marketplace, invest more in yourself. Because there's
yeah.
a certain feeling that you have when you're about to make a big purchase. There's
Mhm.
fear, there is doubt, there is confusion to a degree, and then there's this feeling that you get after the investment you made pays off for you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that a lot of people struggle with that trying to get into sales is they're not buyers. So if you want to be a seller, it makes selling easier when you are a buyer, a strategic
Yeah.
buyer, someone that invests in themselves and wants to help other people do the same. So that's another hack for authenticity is be an authentic purchaser yourself. Know the
Yeah.
benefits of investing in yourself or purchasing the right things. And when you're on those calls with people and you see them struggling, you're going to be able to feel or at least convey that you understand the fear, that you understand the anxiety, but you've also experienced the results. And that level of authenticity really can only be conveyed when you've purchased those types of things yourself, high ticket or whatever you're trying to buy.
Yeah. The fastest way to sell high ticket is to buy high ticket. So if you've not invested like 5 figures in yourself, it's gonna be very tough to ask somebody to invest 5 figures in you. I know a lot of us have programs, 10K, 20K, etc. But if you have not invested that in yourself, then it's gonna be very tough when the time comes for you to ask somebody to invest that in you. Um, as within, so without, right? So if you don't put it in you, then you can't get it out of you. It's not possible. It's literally not possible. The fastest way to sell high ticket is to buy high ticket if that's what you want to do. So everybody has to have an idea of what they want to do. Maybe you want to sell low ticket, but I agree with you 100%, Bobby. Like becoming a consumer of what you sell is like the fastest way to develop conviction. I had somebody just today. They want to come to St. Lucia, right? And then we were connected by a mutual friend, and she was asking me like, where are the best resorts to stay? And I was telling her about a resort that I stayed in on my last birthday, like last year for my birthday, and it was complete conviction. Why? Because I had stayed at the resort, so I know firsthand. Okay, the food is good, the staff is good, it's right on the beach. If you're looking for this, then this is what you need. If you're looking for that, then maybe you don't want to go there. If that's what you need, if you have a party, whatever it is. But I went through it, and that's how I know it's good. So if you're selling something that you yourself are not a consumer of, then it's very very tough. It's very very tough to do that because it's not coming from a genuine space. Like Katrina says, authenticity. Authenticity. Yes, ma'am.
You know, and one thing that's interesting is a lot of people try to buy the wrong things, So what I mean by that is if you buy the website or you buy the funnel or you buy the appointment setters, but you haven't bought the idea yourself, you haven't closed yourself, no one can close something that you haven't closed yourself on. And that's really important because in closing like a leader, one of the things we learn is the first person you have to close is you. And until
Yeah.
you close yourself on what it is that you're doing, you might find yourself trying to close other people, but they're just not interested. They're not convinced. They're not sold that you're sold, right? There was Bob Proctor who said, I was introduced to a man, and this man had told me Think and Grow Rich changed his life. And Bob Proctor said, I'm normally not a big reader, but I pretty much said, I'm going to read this so much so because this individual is extremely sold and authentic about what it is that they're doing. And that
Yeah.
sometimes is the level of conviction that you have to have in order to sell people on what it is that you do. So that was one of the pieces that I wanted to share with you guys is get energized about it by closing yourself.
Yes, sir. 100%. Another thing too, Bobby. Like a lot of the times when you say sell to somebody, I think we should be careful. Like when we say that, guys. So write this down. Sales is not something you do to somebody. Sales is something you do for somebody. So it's not something you do to somebody. It's something you do for somebody. There's a difference. Like there's a different connotation based on the way that you say it, right? So just want to get that right. By the way, you are in sales whether you know it or not. If you convince yourself that you're not in sales, then you've just sold yourself backward. That's all. And we need to realign, get you realigned and selling forward and not selling backward. Everybody's in sales, doesn't matter what you do. But yeah, man, we're gonna go to a quick break in a while, Bobby. But before we do you have any other questions? And by the way, before we go to that break, I think Bradley said something. Hold on. So Bradley said, share more about what I do with people I know. Okay. So Bradley, what you do with the people you know is you call them and you let them know that you're launching something new. Okay. Now, there's an entire framework for the launch and all that. I cannot really get into it on this stream. That's something we would have to go over on the back end because it's very big and we could spend like 2 hours talking about it. But basically, you just let your people know that, hey, I'm launching a coaching program. Would you happen to know anybody that's interested? Or I'm launching a coaching program. It's going to be about X, Y, and Z. And you came to mind. And I was wondering if you or anybody you know might be interested in participating. Okay, now in the launch itself, there are like various little steps. And again, it's all based on the product that you sell. I'm talking about coaching. You might be selling something else. If your thing is something else, we would have to talk about it like in a private consultation to design something just for you. But let's say that you're in the coaching space. You call people that you know, and then you say, hey, I'm launching X, Y, and Z at X, Y, and Z date. And you came to mind. I was wondering if you happen to have 5 minutes so I could give you some more information about it to see if you would be interested. Provided that they say yes, you tell them about it. And if they're interested, you say, okay, great. So can I write your name down as somebody that I can call when I launch this product? Okay, so Bradley, provided that they say yes again, you take note of their name, put them on a special list, and then you move on to the next person. You start to assemble a warm list of clients. So when the time comes for you to launch, you can call that warm list. And then what I would do is I would say, hey, I'm launching the program. It's going to cost, let's say, $5,000. Since you're coming in with me and you're believing in me because I'm launching right now, and I know this is new, I'm going to give you a preferred rate on the price and slash it in half. But the only thing is we need to do it right away because I'm only accepting, and you put in how many people you're accepting, Bradley. You should always put a limit on, especially one-on-one coaching, because you cannot coach the whole world, right? Maybe you can only coach 10 people. So you say, I'm only accepting 10 people. But if you come in today, you can get it for 50% off. And this is, just a preferred rate because you're believing in me. I know this is new. This is my first time doing this. I want to make sure I do it right, but I also want to honor, you trusting in me. So what would you like to do? And then if the product is good, if the avatar is ideal, then most likely they'll say yes. So that's what you do, Bradley. All right, guys, but we're going to go to our final break. If you have any more questions, go ahead and put it in the comments. And for those of you who want to learn how to close, that link right there, Closing Like a Leader, is where you go. Okay, so let's take that break. When we come back, we're going to go over the final steps on the road to the sale. You don't want to miss it. Trust me, this is not something I talk about all the time. I think it's the first time I'm talking about it here on Breakfast with the Brand, maybe second time. So definitely stay locked in. We'll be right back.
In brand clarity, exactly what you're going to get is what it sounds like. Clarity for your brand. What is your color? What is your logo? What is your unique value proposition? Who are you speaking to? Why? How should you speak to them? How should I position myself? That's what you're going to learn in brand clarity. You need other people to have the same clarity on your brand that you do. But this is the gap. If you don't have clarity on your brand, then no one else is going to have clarity on your brand either. It's like messaging. Your message sounds clear to you, but is your end user receiving the value that you're trying to provide? I guarantee you that after you go through brand clarity, they will, and so will you. And that's how you'll scale your brand. I said Sean Rye East. I'm proud. I said Sean Rye East. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
as a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes.
All right, guys, so we're back. This is like the final segment, so we're sort of winding down. But I do want to take any questions if you guys have. By the way, so the link below is for the closing part of the sales process. If you have any more questions about like the other steps, if you need like a consultation, if you want to set up like a pipeline or something for your business based on your industry, then just reach out to me. I'm available on all platforms. So just send me a message on Facebook if you're looking at this on Facebook. You could also message Sean and just let him know that you like to speak with me, and then we could set up a call. All right. Bobby,
Yes,
where are
sir.
we, man? I think we're on. Let's see. I think we're on the demonstration, right?
Yep, demonstration presentation.
Now we were on the trial close, so we got all the way up to the trial close. Okay, so let's say trial close, prospect agrees that, hey, hypothetically, provided that like all the terms were right, all the money was right, that it was the right time, provided that the wife or the husband, they agree, the kids love it. This is exactly what I need. I would like to move forward today. You begin what's called the write-up. So the write-up is where you actually write up the contract or proposal. So you write a proposal. For most of us, we should already have like, some kind of templated proposal, something that we do for a particular product. So, you don't want to write that stuff all over again, right? Every single time you sell, you want to have some kind of thing that you can make edits to get done relatively quickly. Now, once you present them with the proposal, what would normally happen is they're gonna go over the numbers. So that's when you go into negotiation. You negotiate numbers and you negotiate the time, etc., payment schedule, etc. And provided that you get through negotiation, the prospect agrees with the payment, they agree with the payment schedule, then you want to close that deal. So that's when you sign on the dotted line, you sign the contract, you sign the agreement, whatever it is, you close the deal and then you collect payment for whatever it is that you sell. Now, very important is product delivery, okay? So after you actually close, you have to deliver the service. Most people stop. Like when they get the money, they forget about the people. So I had a call, Bobby, right? I had a call with somebody the other day, and they told me that they bought something for like $5K. I think the guy did like one call with them and they never heard from him again. So guys, when you sell somebody something, make sure you give them what they paid for. So the 10th step is product delivery or service delivery. Like actually give them what they paid for. I know it sounds like a crazy idea, right? That we actually have to say that, but yes, a lot of people spend money and they don't get anything for their money. So you actually have to give the person what they paid for. Now, here it is. The close is not done yet. I know we've moved to the closing step, but the sales process is not done yet. After product delivery, you have the owner follow-up. So you follow up with the prospect. Once you followed up and the prospect says, hey, the close is good and the product is good and this is exactly what I need, that's when the sale ends. That's when the close is won and you could relax. So you've made the sale, you've delivered on the service, and you've also ensured customer satisfaction. And by the way, customer satisfaction will lead to the next sale, because every time you solve a problem, every time you provide a solution, another problem is going to show up. So life is all about problems. You solve one problem, another problem shows up. All right. But Bobby, any questions on that? And guys, if you're viewing this, do you have any questions? So let me go over it one more time. And if somebody could write it in the comments, I would greatly appreciate that. So after the trial close, so after demonstration, you have trial close, you have the write-up, you have negotiation, you have the actual close, you have the product delivery, and then the owner follow-up. So let me say it again. Number 6 is trial close. Number 7 is the write-up. Number 8 is negotiation. Number 9 is close. Number 10, product delivery. Number 11, owner follow-up. And number 12 is close won. So that when the close is actually done and it's won, that's when you're actually done in the sales process.
You know, the next thing that comes to my mind about close one and the owner follow-up is, do you have a system or process for this? Is there something that you do to follow up with these owners to ensure that they're happy? Is it an automated email? Is it a phone call? Is there a best practice?
Bro, honestly, I recommend you call somebody. There's nothing beats like you calling somebody. Okay, like you can, of course, you can have like a automated email. Now it depends on what you're selling. If you're selling high ticket, like if I buy something for $50,000, you better pick up the phone and call me. Pick up the phone and call me, okay? But if I buy something for like, $100 or whatever, you can always, have an email go out for that. Like, hey, were you satisfied with your purchase? Something like that. But if somebody buys high ticket from you, I think it's only like common courtesy, man. Like, give them a call. Like, make some time, make 5 minutes, make 10 minutes, give that person a call, because that's how you build a relationship. Remember what I said? That's all part of the luxury process. Putting the client's needs at the center of the decision, like having the decency to pick up the phone, give somebody a call. There's nothing wrong with that. So I still believe in that. And I wouldn't leave high ticket in the hands of artificial intelligence or anything like that. If they buy something for like, something that's not high ticket, maybe $2,000, $1,000, then you could automate that, because most likely that's like a cost where there's no real interaction with you per se. But if it's something where they're interacting with you or your team, I would definitely recommend picking up the phone and giving somebody a call. 100%.
Wow. And I think this is very important, because when you're learning how to do these things, and I've been at high ticket sales and closing for going on 4 years now. And one thing that I think you continue to learn is how to do things most efficiently. So when I say efficiency, I want you to think about, do you have a system, a checklist? Because if you can get this thing systematized, and this is what I'm working on at my stage, is how do we do it the same way every time, over and over and over again? And once you get to that point, which is what this is all about, from greeting all the way to close one, is what is a systematic approach to closing on deals and then doing it right, because that's very important if you want to get out of the sales role and put someone in it. So that's just something to think about. Like, if you have a sporadic, all over the place sales process, you can't really put someone in there to say do it and have it done the same way you would, because nobody really knows how you do it. You don't really know how you do it. You just do it. But if you do these steps and you follow them and you execute accordingly, then you have a system that you can put someone else into, which is very important for scaling and expansion.
100%, 100%. The system, though, it takes time to build. Now, certain things you could systematize, follow-ups, for example, follow-up emails, follow-up text messages, but you can't systematize, in my opinion, the entire sales process. At some point, somebody needs to talk to somebody. It cannot be a robot. It cannot be, an email. It has to be somebody having a conversation with somebody. If you're selling high ticket, if you're not doing high ticket, then that's different. But if you are, then like somebody needs to talk to somebody, right? But certain parts like email follow-ups, text message follow-ups, stuff like that, you can't systematize that. Okay, you can't systematize that. And by the way, if that's something you want to do, if you want to build your pipeline, building those systems, etc., just send me a message and let's talk about it. We could talk about doing something for your business But Bobby, most of this stuff, I mean, like if you actually love sales, you love talking to people. Just talk to people, man. It's not, in my opinion, it's not too much to talk to people,
Yeah.
especially in high ticket. Yeah. I mean, if I were about to buy high ticket, I'd want to talk to somebody too, right?
Right.
Right. Okay, guys. So we're about to wrap up. Before we go, for those of you who want to learn how to close, go to Closing Like a Leader, that link that you see at the bottom right there. If you need any other assistance outside of just closing, that's something that you and I need to have a one-on-one conversation about. Send me a message across any platform, or you can message Sean. Maybe we're not friends. Maybe you're friends with Sean. Send Sean a message. Somebody from the team will send me the message. Okay. And then we'll jump on the phone. We'll have a conversation about it. Apart from that, thank you so much. Bobby, I think the next time you and I have this discussion, we may talk about system for sales. We may talk about that. So continue watching Breakfast with the Brand. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or Friday. I don't know exactly when it's going to be, but at some point we will be talking about the system for the sales, like how you can actually build a pipeline, what it actually looks like, you know, and some of the automations you could build in. Like you could move people across your pipeline and then have emails automatically go out. So you're not doing a lot of that manual stuff yourself. Now, if that's something you want to learn how to do, like I said, send me a direct message and let's talk about it. And also, if you just want to wait to hear the information, then at some point, maybe this week or next week, we will be talking about, you know, building an actual sales system. So stay tuned. This has been Breakfast with the Brand. Thank you so much. Have a phenomenal day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Let's grow.